Hey friends, welcome to Mitch Bakker's podcast. I am so delighted that you're here. We're currently working our way through my book Drawn, which is a collection of stories from my life and others, and we're learning to see the presence of God more clearly. I'm convinced that as we listen attentively to lives and stories, we'll start to see the reality of God's presence everywhere, from our greatest joys to our seasons of deepest pain. Thanks for being along for the ride. Let's begin. Welcome to the podcast, where we're exploring the ways God reveals himself through stories. Today's conversation is one that's especially close to my heart. It's about sacrifice, faith, and the kind of love that doesn't make sense while apart from God. A while back, I had the privilege of meeting Dusty. Her husband, Mark, had given one of his kidneys to a young boy in their church. An incredible act of generosity that ended up shaping the final chapters of Mark's life in ways that no one could imagine. When I met up with Dusty, Mark was nearing the end of his battle with cancer. What struck me wasn't the sadness of their situation, though there was plenty of that. It was the peace and trust and the quiet strength that ran through both of them. So Dusty joins me today to share her story, not just of loss, but of faith that holds her steady when everything else falls away. So, hey, Dusty.
Hi.
Take us back to that season with Mark and what it looked like as his health began to decline and how you were both navigating through that time.
Okay. So this all transpired and happened in 2021. I don't want to give you too much because it takes a lot of time to tell the whole story. But when Mark was not sick and then he was sick, I don't know if that makes sense. You know, sometimes you see people become diagnosed or something happens and you see this decline. It was, we were living a pretty normal life. Mark was playing in basketball tournaments, you know, kicking butt and having fun. And we were backpacking in Wyoming with our kids for 10 days. And then when he came home, things just weren't, he didn't feel good. And it went really fast after that, to be honest. I mean, it took a little time for diagnosis and stuff, but he only had one kidney, as we had talked about. And I'm kind of I don't run to doctors. So, but when his back was kind of hurting and I said, I feel like that's maybe your kidney. And let's not mess around with that, you know.
Right,
so we probably should go to the ER. Anyways, we spent quite some time in the hospital, and they did diagnose him with stage 4 kidney cancer. So it was, you were there, and then and he just became sick. You know, he was just sick.
Right.
You know, water retention in his body was bloating up. And by day 3 in the hospital, I remember we talked about this before they knew exactly what was wrong. He said, I just don't want to go on dialysis. He just saw that as like a death sentence. And I think on like day 3, we had a really great nephrologist. He was always rooting for us, very positive, but he said, we have to do dialysis. And I just remember that felt like a really, you can stay positive as much as you want, but that was a dark day. It was a really dark day. And so we had to do that. And, but at that time, right, our daughter was starting college. Her first semester at Moody Bible College in Chicago. So she was not going around the corner. She was leaving. And when she left, when we went to bring her, she was still trying to travel while they're trying to figure out what was going on. Mark wasn't there to take her. She was leaving home for the first time. And we really weren't sure what was going on with his health. But my other daughter was going into her senior year of high school, cross country season, which was one of Mark's favorites because he was a runner. Right. And he loves cross country and competition. And I love watching his kids perform. And then our youngest was starting high school. So we're in this time where, like, you know, it's that big transition where he's starting new things, and he was traveling a bunch for work. And well, now all of a sudden, you know, you have cancer and you have to rely on a machine to clean your blood and detoxify your body. And and you still have to take care of your kids, and you still have to, figure life out. And so we were just, holding all the balls in the air and
Yeah.
taking it, I don't know, one day at a time. It's funny how everything just falls to the wayside, though.
Right.
It's like what's important stays, and everything else doesn't matter.
The thing that struck me about his life, he knew my son Josh really well, but it felt like he was others focused during the entire time, which I just find extraordinary. So, how did he find that strength, even though his situation ended up being pretty dire?
Right.
But how did he find the strength to be others focused?
And that's where, I want to be careful to put words into somebody else's mouth, right? But obviously, my first thought to that, or my first response, would be that God gave him that strength and that selflessness. But Mark has always been a people person, even when he was a little kid, and he had a pretty loose. They homeschooled and spent a lot of time at the airport. His dad worked at the airport. He was always meeting people and building relationships with people at a very young age. And I don't know if he was replicating what he was seeing as a young child too, but his mom was a very social person. His grandfather was a very social person, and a very bold, kind of an in-your-face person. People would tell stories about his grandfather. They'd be in a cockpit with him, or maybe a car, whatever, and he would say to them, "If you die today, do you know where you're going?" Do we do that? I don't do that with people. I'm afraid of what they're going to say back to me.
Right.
So I just think that obviously it's this character that God gave him, but he did have probably some really great examples. I think something else in Mark's life played a huge role in who he became. So his mom had an accident when she was 28 years old, and so she had 3 kids, 8, 6, 4, and Mark's the oldest. And she had brain aneurysm, she had brain surgery. And so that's pretty traumatic at a young age. But being the oldest, he kind of stepped up. When you're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, he called them commercial cleanups and helping to keep the house picked up and making sure his sisters did dishes. And so he kind of already took this teaching leadership role very early on in life. And so I think that probably played a big role in how he lived. And obviously there's some serving in there too that he wouldn't recognize as a kid, but we can see that. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that's just who he was.
This was just an incredible sacrifice, obviously. Even before you knew the final outcome, it's a very costly gift, but costlier than than you originally thought. Right. But at the beginning, even this, the sacrifice to give a kidney, and it was to his best friend's son.
Yeah.
Right. How did you guys process that? What did that kind of sacrifice mean to him and to you during that time?
Well, when it was one of his best friends, like we discussed, and his wife is my best friend, and our families are close. The kids call each other or call us aunt and uncle because first names are too informal and Mr. and Mrs. is too formal. So that's how our families have. We do vacations together and Longsley camping, and so Mark has been really integrated in their lives. So, and we knew when Justice was a kid that he would one day need a new kidney. And you're always hoping maybe that one day doesn't come, but when this needed to happen, it's funny that I know a lot of family members went to get tested, and I did too. But we have a tight circle of friends, and within that circle of friends, 2 people turned out to be a good option for a donor. And the other one was one of Mark's really good college friends. But he was the better match. And I remember thinking, maybe even being slightly relieved, I don't, you say, I'd do this, go see if I'm a match, but I don't know, when it comes down to
You're relieved that you weren't a match.
I was a little bit relieved that I wasn't a match. But Mark never hesitated. He never questioned it. He definitely thought it was the right thing to do. He loved justice. And he thought, we do have two. And so I remember he talked a little more openly about it when it was getting closer. He was scared. He needed surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So he could be what if you don't recover well from it?
Right.
He has to get a medical again to fly again. Like, it wasn't just like, I'll do this and we'll carry on with our lives. There are a couple other things at stake there that but he was trusting. He just felt like the Lord wants me to do this.
Right.
This is the right thing to do, and I'm going to do it. And he did. And it did go well.
Yeah.
It did go well.
Yeah.
And, afterwards, and Justice recovered incredible. That was in the summer. He was playing soccer with a kidney guard, and we were at every track meet that we could be at in the
and he's doing well today.
He was an incredible hurdler. Yeah. So he went to college to run hurdles, but he didn't continue that for very long. But just to be able to, he went from this kid who was going to have to go on dialysis.
Yeah.
That is kind of a funny part too, because Mark's like, we don't want him to have to go on dialysis, And so, to swoop in and be able to help him continue on, for him to be able to recover so well, and us to be able to be involved with his life and watch him thrive again.
Yeah.
Because he was getting real sluggish.
Right.
His
Right.
kidney function was very low. Yeah. So it is.
I remember when I came up to see you, and Mark wasn't feeling well, so he had to go to bed, and I hadn't met him at that time. And then I think it was like a week later that he passed.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the day you came.
Maybe a week and a half. And you guys had sent me a card in the mail, and it was his writing and your writing.
Oh, okay.
And it was just talking about, being so appreciative that I came and I left a gift, and and it was like every time things seem to get a little bit dire, there's this encouragement that God brings. Is what he was saying. Like, how did you guys hold on to your faith so strong right to the end?
And I hope it's not cliche, or if it is, maybe I shouldn't care, but in the big scheme of things, we don't have control.
Yeah.
And if you believe God is who he truly says he is, that's the only constant, and that's the only constant in our life. That's the only thing you have.
Yeah.
And I mean, we go up and we go down, and that's the one thing in your life that's constant. If that's in your life, I think of people who are missing that, they're missing that.
Yeah.
But we didn't have control over his health. I mean, you thought maybe you did if you did all the right things, but you don't.
Right.
You don't have control over the doctors and their decisions, or lack of decisions, or how people, you don't have it. And so that's all you have. And so I even looked up the verse this morning too, because I always like Hebrews 11:1, being sure of what you hope for and being certain of what you can't see. I just chose to not be bitter. He was never bitter.
I know.
He was never
Incredible.
Angry about it. He was very hopeful. Right? That maybe it looks bleak, but God is big and he can do anything. And so, but he never complained. Complained, right?
Yeah.
Back hurt, or
Right.
wish I could just eat a really good meal, or, but he was never angry with God. And he did say one time, he goes, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not ready. And that was a little hurt-wrenching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you hang on to faith.
The things that I remember about his funeral, one of the things is that he was really physically fit, and he seemed to never deteriorate like his friends. He would talk about that. Yeah, like he was the same speed, had the same agility that he had when he was 20, and they showed that picture of him like
Oh,
hurling a car.
He jumped anything. If he had a moment, she's like, hang on. And he would jump over the hood of the car or the long picnic table.
Yeah.
The long way.
Right,
The long way.
Yeah, that was
my hand.
amazing.
And he's now, my son's doing the same thing now. But
Right.
yeah, it's fun to watch. I'm like, one of these days you're going to clip your toe.
Right.
And he didn't. He was at a cross country meet, just trying to, if you're a cross country parent at all, right? You try to run from spot to spot to spot. And here he is running across the baseball field. And I got it on video, and jumps over that fence to catch her. Keeps turning like nothing happened. I'm like,
Wow.
Do that.
I know. That's crazy. That's really cool. He also talked about in that note, in some of the texting and in your conversation, your and I conversation, talked about the church, how the church has always been there and stepped in, and like, what ways did that manifest itself? How did the church, your maybe local church and maybe even the global church, how did that impact you? And what happened? What ways did they support you?
I don't know if we have time to talk about how much they supported us. It makes me tear up just thinking about it. And I don't know if I've ever I never got up in front of the church, or maybe never even sent them a letter. To just say we couldn't have done it without you. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. Didn't have enough family to come. You know what I'm saying? They were my family. They were our family. From taking the kids to places they needed to go because we couldn't, to meals. I think they fed us for 3 to 6 months even after Mark passed away.
Wow.
So I didn't have to cook anything. I didn't have to get groceries if I didn't want to. Their gift cards are showing up. Mark never suffered for company. If he, either while he was at the house because he couldn't go anywhere, or while he was on the dialysis machine. It was usually just me, and I'm sure I get boring. So, high school coaches stopped by to sit and chat with Mark, and our pastors were incredible. And just even the people that came around my kids to be extra support for them, because I felt like, I look back to, and that one tears me up a bit too, because we're given everything and you want to be able to be there for everybody. Yep. But I look back and go, gosh, I think I really dropped the ball. I don't know how often I ask my kids, are you doing okay? Maybe because they presented as if maybe they were, but they had youth group pastors and other pastors and people within our church, I feel like, came alongside them as well. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And I had one friend in particular, and she does go to our church, but she might have been the key to me not totally losing my life. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And so they were just there. They helped us move. We moved during all this. They helped us.
No. Wow.
Our real estate agent didn't even take, he goes to our church. He didn't even take commission. He just wanted us to have it all.
Wow.
I don't think he wanted people to know that. Anyways, they helped us move. They helped us finish the other house that we're doing so that we can get in. They helped us move to that house. And all I had to do was ask. And I guess I didn't know it would be like that. And if you're not part of a great church community, you should be.
Yeah.
But that also means playing your own role too. So, but
I remember being at the funeral and just how packed it was, and it was the middle of a weekday, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the pastor was like, I don't know, kind of beside himself, because it's like this kind of thing is hard to obviously it's why did God allow this? There was another donor that could have given, and Mark would presumably still be alive today.
Maybe.
If that would have happened, maybe. And he was saying, maybe the reason is that he needed to take Mark so that the rest of us, as he's talking to the congregation, so that the rest of us can get in the game like Mark was in the game. You and Mark really, yes, people minister to you, but you minister to so many people. That's why it was packed at his funeral. And it was just interesting to have him term it that way,
Right.
So how has all of this shaped your faith, up till today?
That's a good question. I would say definitely strengthened it. And these situations can go either way, right? You can, And I'm not saying that if you don't have strong faith, that's why you fell apart. I just think you can just fall apart. And that's probably a personality thing too. But I would say that I see the story differently. And this is kind of how I've been saying it since Mark passed. Like, Mark loved the Bible and he loved the story of Jesus and the story of creation to now. And what I think we sometimes fail to see is that we are part of that story. The story started with creation. It's still going.
Yeah.
Just because the Bible book stopped. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we're still a part of that story.
Yeah.
And when things like this happen, we can choose to hide in a dark corner, which I have wanted to do at times, or we can stay in the game and we could be an active part of God's story. The pages are going to turn no matter what. It still goes. You can't push pause.
Right.
And so I choose to actively move forward and see what it is I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to be in the story? I don't have the answer yet. I am looking.
You're doing great.
I am looking. I also feel like it's been, maybe I didn't think this before, I don't know. But our lives are not our own. And we can plan all we want and do all these great things, and actually, I don't even think we're supposed to be here to do all these great things. I think we tend to live our lives, understandably, I'm like it too, for ourselves.
Yeah.
We want to do we have bucket lists and we want to do all these things and go all these places. And I don't really think that's why we're here, although it's not sinful to go on vacation. That's not what I'm saying. But we're here to build relationships, which Mark was great at.
Yeah,
Mark was great at building relationships with people. And that's why we saw the result, what we saw when he got sick and when he passed away. And even a little bit now. I mean, people are still checking in on me, but we're here to build relationships and spread God's word. And
that's awesome.
That's lost my train of thought, but
That's cool.
I forgot where I was going with that.
How long has it been?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Wow. Wow. So if Mark could come back and say a few words, what would he say?
Oh gosh.
What would he say if he could speak maybe to you, or if he could speak to the kids, or if he could speak to his community? What do you think what would he say?
Mitch, that's a tough one. Well, I'd like to say maybe he would tell me that I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I needed words of affirmation from my husband. That always made me feel good. Like, other people could say it, but if he thought that of me, so maybe I could use that, and maybe the kids could use that too. But I see him and the kids. I see them making choices based on things he said, warn them about, encourage them to do. And I don't know what he'd say to them. He'd probably face your culture, don't follow them. He told that to the kids. And, they probably could use a little pick me up every once in a while. They're doing good, but we've all suffered and we are suffering.
Yeah.
I don't know what he would say. I don't know. Maybe it'd be a little Charlie Kirkish too. But listen, there's one thing.
Yeah.
And that's most important. And nothing else matters.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so grateful that you would come here and speak with me about this very difficult topic. I was really looking forward to this, but I was also a little nervous too.
For me?
For you.
Oh.
Yeah, I was nervous, not just for you, but even, just to go back over, some very difficult memories,
Yeah. I don't mind talking about Mark.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I used to be kind of ashamed or whatever to show emotion, and it's okay. I don't, if I cry, I cry. But I think it's important to talk about people, and I think it's important to talk about their legacy.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to leave one.
Right. And he did. He absolutely did.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This was great. So great. So great to see you.
Thanks, you too.
Take care. Thanks for listening to my podcast. If you're enjoying what you hear, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and leave a review so that others can find the show more easily. And I'd love to hear from you too. So could you drop me a note at mitch@mitchbakker.com. See you next time.